I am starting the stream now.
I had an epiphany yesterday.
An epiphany. What?
Yes, an epiphany. That the entire history of human technology is basically this is going to be a pun when I tell you, can be boiled down to one thing: how to better boil water efficiently.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you think about it. Outside of like solar, solar are relatively new, along with wind farms, and hydroelectric is relatively new also. It's been around since the early 1900s. But the entirety of human history in power generation and everything has how to boil water more efficiently, i.e., steam power. From steam trains to steam ships, it's basically that. I mean, nuclear power plants. How do they generate power? They use, the reactors to boil water.
Have you had any hookah today, or weed, or...
No, it's just an odd epiphany when you're looking at all this different stuff, like the invention of the internal combustion engine and all that whatnot. It just boils down to making steam trains smaller and smaller and smaller, and then going from burning coal or burning wood, burning coal to burning diesel.
This does
I'm
sound
not
like... this does sound like one of the weed conversations. Yeah,
it,
dude, like...
it is, but when you think about it, that's really what it is. I mean, a lot of still a lot of sea power uses steam for power generation. Instead of they just now burn, bunker oil to create pressure. Kind of trippy when you think about it.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I'm too... I am too fresh off work to think about that too deeply.
It is what it is.
Welcome Squigburger to the stream. What up, what up? Right now working on cabooses here. This is the commissionee of the commission. Oh, no, you're the commissioner, I'm the commissionee, technically.
Yes.
Yes, but this is this caboose. Hey, Matthew Gordon, welcome to the stream. Howdy, howdy. Yeah, I'm just working on this. Well, since it's gonna be one of the topics, just might as well jump into it. So that Trump conviction, how's everybody feeling
Just means
about
that Trump. It just means that Trump is officially the most honest politician on the face of the planet. We all know they're criminals. He's just official.
Oh boy. I'm not gonna lie, it is a freaky situation we're in right now. Because if he dies at all until like significantly after the election, it's gonna be seen as an assassination, and people are gonna lose their shit.
He's not going to see a day in jail, especially after the jury instructions got leaked, where the judge told the jury, if four of you agree on some counts and the others don't agree on the other counts, basically that counts as a unanimous conviction.
Welcome Steven Bridges and Mexican Oni. Welcome to you both. Hello, painting Emperor's Fist. You mean Imperial Fists? If so, yes. Because I do think there's a successor chapter called The Emperor's Fists, if I'm not mistaken.
Wouldn't that just be the Space Wolves?
No, they're the Executioners.
Yeah, okay. Incidentally enough, there is a successor chapter of Imperial Fist called the Executioners. Or is that Smurfs?
I don't know that one off the top of my head.
There's only one successor chapter of Smurfs I like, and that's the one that has a lot of experiencing. They're basically armored Space Marines. Like, yes, all Space Marines are armored. They wear power armor, but they specialize in armored vehicles. They have an enormously large motor pool of heavies, super heavies, land raiders, and all that whatnot.
Had the day off, so was working on my Eugene Steelers and another Death Watch teams. Nice, Squigburger. How much progress have you made? Oh, Caboose, will you be joining the Among Us game tomorrow, or... I don't know if you're home.
No.
Oh,
No, I'm not home.
damn it. I think I forgot to add Ludus in it. I'll DM him, see if he's got work, or at least part of the day off from work.
Yeah.
I'm used to be. Sorry. This is from Stephen Bridges. I'm used to be in pulp and paper. We generated a ton of power back to the grid, like 10 megawatts. Nice. Actually, there's a recent thing here in Maine where there's like a huge push for solar energy, which I still find completely dumb for the state we're in.
Would you like some Buffalo lore? Buffalo, New York lore?
How extensive
For
is
it's a little bit, but not that. Buffalo, New York, for Elon Musk and Tesla, we built a giant workshop for him. And with all the layoffs, they're basically closing it now. But it was to build solar panels, Tesla solar panels in the middle of Buffalo. Now, here's where it goes. Buffalo, back in the day, in the early 20th century, was a hub of aviation. We had Curtiss, Consolidated, Bell, Boeing, all started in Buffalo. And one of the aviation companies called Consolidated. They made a very particular airplane, flying boat. A little hard to test your aircraft when your runway's frozen over 6 months out of the year. Just like it's a little hard to test a solar panel when it's overcast 9 months out of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, here in Maine, like the most amount of sun we get is during the summertime. Once it hits fall and winter, hell, even springtime, the amount of cloud coverage we have is immense.
Oh, dude, I used to drive through Maine in the winter all the time. I hated it. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure Maine is very beautiful when you can see it.
Great. And part of the winter is beautiful. It depends on where you go, though.
I was driving up to what's that big city in Maine? Not Bangor. Another one that starts with a B.
Bangor's our only big city with a B. We have Portland.
Portland. Sorry, Portland.
That doesn't start with a B.
Yeah, dude, it's been a long day.
Fair enough. Let's see. Welcome, Zoid. How's it going? Joining you while hearing about this a setting I'll be watching the development of closely. Name is Gate Crash. Name of it is Gate Crash, and it sounds like it could be grimdark from the creator's own video. Okay, I might look into it. Is it a tabletop game, or what is it? You finished your Gene Stealer's combat patrol. Now you have a starting Gene Stealer, a boarding patrol, bikes, and then a whole other combat patrol. Dang. Yeah, better get to work. Whoosh. So
Quote the great creators of Space King, what was it? One Terminator said to the other, "Your mama's so dumb. She heard Gene Stealers were coming and went to hide her Levi's." Yeah, I remember. Let's turn that off because CBs are unregulated, and people say naughty words that could get demonetized or banned.
Yeah, preferably, I'd like neither to happen.
I turned it off.
Thank you. Hey, Lady Runesong, how you doing? Evening. Evening to you too, lassie. How you feeling about the, since you're a fellow American here, how you feeling about the convictions in New York? I'm not going to bring it up too many more times, but I'm just curious if anyone in the chat has something to say about it. My coworkers had a lot to say about it. It was actually kind of funny.
All I have to say is America loves an outlaw. We love outlaws and underdogs.
Did you see how his polls are looking right now? They skyrocketed.
Oh, yeah. I swear, he's going to be the only president to get elected and pardon himself.
That was funny to me.
Like, wait a minute. Wait, what?
Hey, Undead Nerd, welcome to stream. Tomorrow is the start of game month. Wait, is June Prime month? Thought it was February. What's February then?
Black History Month?
Oh. Okay.
Here, the coldest and darkest month of the year. Wait, what?
They picked it for a reason. Later on, Suck says, "Fuck it, we ball." Yep. I'll tell you this again. Even if he dies of natural causes in like the next 6 months, anything happens to Trump, like with any kind of permanence,
Oh, yeah.
people are gonna snap. We are that on the edge.
Next, let's see, what is it? The 6th of next year will be 80 years since the D-Day invasion. One of these years, I'm going to get over there for the commemoration.
Dark humor, like Chinsealer, its motto could be "No Ma" or "No Man Left Behind."
No mas pantalones.
Well, this country won't be the same. Mm-hmm. Hopefully in a good way. But we'll see.
Oh, dude, I'd hate to see how many pants Tim Pools had to change in since the conviction. Civil War, World War III. Like, dude, really?
Actually, I don't think I've seen him cover it at all. Or it could just be my work. And then again, I haven't looked up Tim Pool on this one.
I've stopped following him. He got me into a bad headspace where sharp objects were looking like a solution to a temporary problem.
Yeah, no, none of that. You need to live a lot longer than I do.
Well, there's a reason I don't follow him anymore.
Yeah, he's a bit of a doomer, to put it lightly.
Incidentally enough, I think that's how I found like Brandon Herrera is through Tim somehow.
Yeah. I was also depressed to see that he lost his the thing he was running for too.
400 votes. I was listening. You were listening to Razor Force yesterday. I'm like, it's odd that these incumbents keep winning by the narrowest of margins. Less than 400 votes, 500 votes. In the grand scheme of things, that's nothing.
Hey, Kid Bash Oddies, welcome to stream. What's up? Not the sun at the current moment, but that's gonna change in like 5 hours. What's up with you? Any good progress on any projects lately? What are we talking about? We were just talking about Trump getting convicted on all 30. Was it 34 or 39 charges? 34.
34.
Yeah, and his polls skyrocketed. But I'm not gonna weigh down the whole stream with the conversation. But it's a bit of an elephant in the room for us Americans at the moment. Bit of tension going on because of it. Yeah, not gonna.
Oh, Tim Curry, I'm going to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism.
Space.
In space.
Red Alert 3 is such a good game. If for no other reason than the B movie scenes.
Dude, I loved playing as the Japanese faction in that. I loved all of the units and all of the different anime tropes built into the units.
Isn't it just called The Land of the Rising Sun in the in-game stuff?
Yeah, but heavily Japanese influenced.
Well, obviously it's a Japanese faction.
Oh yeah. I think they're just called the Empire of the Sun or something.
Pretty sure it's Land of the Rising Sun. I think that's like the faction name. It might just be like abbreviated to Japan in like the selections and stuff, but I think like the in-game title of their faction was the Land of the Rising Sun. Or the Empire of the Rising Sun. One of the two. I'm pretty sure it's that. The cool kids are surviving. Warhammer saved my life after crushing divorce. Ooh, sorry to hear that, man. Now I'm way ahead, way more happy and fulfilled. Just a bit of a completionist. Hey, is worth things. Hopefully you switched to 3D printing right now, but I'm not gonna drag you into it. You're a new viewer, so I don't know how you feel about the recent
There's
stuff.
I'm actually thinking about getting my first 3D printer. I'm talking to a buddy about selling one of his because yeah, I've told you about that 3D printer designing. I don't know if I can drop his name or not. It's your stream. I don't want to do that, but he's using his own 40K themed models to launch his own setting where it's basically World War II Red Alert, basically.
So wait, is he using 40K models to do it, or
No. He originally started out making, models that you could definitely see the 40K influence in them as proxies for other units. Like one of his models
like
was
kit
called the
bashes?
Sherman Russ. No. He actually, from the ground up, modeled these out. Like one of his models is called the Sherman Russ, and it looks like a Sherman tank, but it has the track layout of a Lehman Russ. And
Sherman Russ, did you say?
yes, I think I shared you a photo of his before.
I didn't know. Do you have any interest in Thousand Year Door? What?
Who's in your door? Why does that sound familiar?
I have no fucking clue what Thousand Year Door is.
Oh, I'm trying to rack my brain.
Later in song says, on a lighter note, love the mini so far, Asmo. Thank you. It's actually Caboose's, the other guy in the call here. It's his commission.
Hey.
Yeah, he wanted a purple cape. So got the flashy. It looks very contrasting on the let's do a test fit here. It looks very contrasting on the rest of the model.
Well, that's sort of the point with purple on yellow.
Emperor's Children from the back, Imperial Fist to the front.
Business in the front, party in the back.
Yep, he's a living Astartes mullet.
That's it. We need to bring the mullet back.
God no, there's some hairstyles that
That and
rightfully died.
what is it? Sideburns that go down to your jawline.
That's
Bring back the chops.
I was about to say that's just chops. That's not even a sideburns anymore.
Yeah.
What layer
Bring
of
back the
yellow are
mutton
we on? This is still layer 1, and then I'm gonna do the wash, and then after the wash, do highlights. So base layer plus wash.
Null oil. Liquid skill.
You've fallen in love? Is that a question, or are you telling me? Who have I fallen in love with?
Orin Queen Alexa. Wait, what? No.
Hell no. Oh, hell no. It's not even because of the trans thing. Like, hell no on so many other levels. Oh my god, that woman's reaction to to being consulted on, which, to be fair, that was a stupid move by Goobertown Hobbies, but her reaction to being consulted and like trying to be brought in on and like the whistleblower thing with that was to immediately freaking at GW and expose the whistleblower. That's the reaction of someone who's at best a fucking bootlicker.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still buying the Joy Toy figures. Yes, they're officially licensed GW products, but I'm not giving the money to GW. They already bought the license, so I just give the money to Joy Toy and I get cool collectibles. But it's just there is nothing in GW's catalog I want. Not since they got rid of my army. I have a really gorgeous Imperial Fist army. In fact, I have a couple of models that were, not in White Dwarf, but were actually in a codex. I have a couple of models that were photographed and put into a codex or a rule book.
Yours?
And yes.
Oh wow.
Hey, I bought them from eBay, and I was talking to the guy who was selling them, and he was actually a Golden Demon winner, and his display was put into the 7th edition rulebook.
Oh, fittingly enough, my favorite edition.
Howdy.
Hi, Kadger.
Hey, Kaiju.
No F-bombs, please.
No, I know you're streaming.
Oh, fudge Muppets.
Lady
Oh, the only F-bomb is that purple looks like Fulgrim gay.
Don't complain to me about it. The commissioner is in call.
I'm calling him Fulgrim gay.
Caboose, how do you react to these slanderous statements?
Fulgrim is what he is.
I'm not hearing a denial.
I was just taking a quick peek at the way the cape looks. I like the way the cape looks.
Man, it's insane to see that Fulgrim is like almost 90% a carbon copy of Griffith.
That's the Berserk villain, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you read the Berserk manga, it is almost 1-to-1 same character. The same scenario happens with them, and their whole thing is that they're very pretty boys.
Yes, Berserk. 23 years of blue balls to figure out what happened between Guts and what's her name.
Then he died.
Welcome,
Well,
Duct Tape
shit.
Lady. What a name, Duct Tape Lady. I love a person who... Holy crap. That escalated quickly.
What'd she say? What'd she say?
Let me read it.
The 2 comments I've gotten from this person so far, and I love a person who can finger. So
Just
how's your
remember,
evening, guy?
silence is golden, and so is duct tape.
Oh man, I cannot wait for Joy to release that mini as a figure. That's gonna look amazing on my shelf.
Still gonna make
did
the
you see
joke
the
that
new
Joy
Lehman
Toy
Russ?
is a very inconveniently named company.
It is, but hey, they make good figures and they have great customer support and service, and they've been talking to their fan base very well.
Oh yeah.
Unlike Games Workshop, they are so they said that they, because a lot of complaints with the Primark figures is that they don't have helmets. They said they want to make custom helmets for them, but Games Workshop won't allow them because the contract states they have to make whatever the mini has, and that's it.
Uh, I can't remember if Gilliman does or not, but I know the Lion has a helmet.
Yeah, the Lion has a helmet because the miniature came with a helmet
Actually,
add-on.
technically he has 2 variants of a helmet.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
Gilliman
no.
comes with a helmet.
Yeah, Gilliman comes with a helmet because his mini also comes with the option to put a helmet, but with the Forge World models, there's no option for a helmet. You have to get a custom helmet or make one.
Yeah.
So in
Yeah,
the
but at the
contract,
same time, the Forge World models were meant to be statues. They weren't really,
yeah, but
they
well, the contract is whatever miniatures they have, and whatever the miniature has, that's what they make. They're not allowed to make extra stuff or anything else.
Mexican only says, "What did Goobertown do?" It's a very long story. The short version, there was it was a couple years ago now. Jeez, it's either a year ago or 2 years ago, but somewhere around COVID ish. There was a whistleblower on the NDA that GW was having like content creators and stuff sign because the particular
yeah,
NDA was overzealous with like a non-complete clause and a bunch of this other stuff. And the whistleblower went to Goobertown for some reason. I don't know why he would have gone to Goobertown, but he went to Goobertown, and Goobertown started messaging Norn Queen Alexis, trying to get her in on like the scoop, I guess. We weren't shown all the screenshots. We don't have the full context. What we were shown from Norn Queen Alexis was a couple of screenshots that were cherry picked that made Goobertown sound like he was creeping on her. And to be fair to him, we don't have... I don't think we ever got, because I don't think he ever provided them, but we never got the full context messages. So, yeah, we don't know exactly what's going on there. But point is, he went to her to get her involved in the situation. Stupid fucking decision. I could have told him a mile fucking... And the funny thing is one way he tried to schmooze up to her was he mentioned how they both didn't like Arch, if I recall correctly.
Oh yeah.
So that was kind of funny. But regardless, she got really upset because she found him creepy. And she, despite the fact that she was making it quite clear she had no interest in like collabing, Goobertown still shared the contact info of the whistleblower. And out of spite towards Goobertown, and also out of, I guess, a loyalty to GW, you might keep in mind, not 40k, GW is the loyalty here. She then went on Twitter, added the Games Workshop community Twitter account, and screenshotted the guy's docs. So she doxed the dude on social media in general, but also doxed him directly to the company. And the funny thing is, what the best part about that situation, at least in regards to her and the backlash she got, everyone shat on her for it. Like, her own base shat on her. Anti-woke side bashed on her. Everybody from all sides. Like, she had like 1 or 2 simps. That was it. Everybody else shat her down her throat. Because nobody likes a squealer. And if I'm not mistaken, she's been gone since. Like, the backlash was so severe, she fucking bailed. She didn't. I don't think she ever took down the tweet, but I can't remember.
No, she's still making content.
Is she?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I've heard nothing, so maybe that's just the case of I have no interest. But at the very least, she did like leave the internet for like a week or 2 after the fact.
Well, that's the thing. The future, in my opinion, the future of the tabletop is going to be independent creators and 3D printing.
I hope so.
These megalithic companies aren't going to be a thing much longer. They can't. It's too big of a thing to keep contained. GW can put out all the editions and codexes and models they want, but if people don't want to play with them, they're SOL. You know, they're back home. There's a dedicated group that just plays 2nd edition and retrofits rules to the models we want.
Hey, Fafnir Bean, welcome to stream. But no, I agree with you. I mean, whether or not that is going to be definitively true or not, I can't say. I do think it's going to lean more independent. It's kind of going the same way the comics book industry is going, where the main like sources of it that have been like the traditional sources, like in comic books, it'd be Marvel and DC and a couple other smaller publications. But now, because all of those, you know, legacy sources for that media are going either very political or they're just not making very well written stories, you know, people are just tired of it. And they're also overplaying their card with a bunch of superheroes, not making any new ones, not experimenting, not doing anything fun. So a lot of people are looking towards independent creators. That's why ISOM blew the hell up and made over $1 million in pre-orders. Its first edition, first run around. That's why.
Sorry. No, go ahead. My bad. I cut you off.
Yeah, that independent market is definitely blowing up because people are sick and tired of the same schlock that we've been getting from the bigwigs, and that's gonna happen. Or I don't know if it's gonna happen too soon. There's still quite a bit of. It's not necessarily loyalty to GW. It's a fear of going toward the independent market. I think a lot of people are afraid that if a single company isn't doing all the production, that whatever they get into is gonna fall apart people mistakenly convince themselves that companies like GW or Wizards of the Coast or like the traditional pillars of the tabletop hobbies, they've convinced themselves, okay, without them there's no structure, there's no stability. They see those companies as despite how bad they are, they've convinced themselves that they're a source of stability, so they need to be supported, they need to be backed up, even though they're absolute shit.
And I just have 2 points. One, that's why the new stuff is failing and people are going to retro stuff. Like the Shadow. You know, he was a great superhero back in the day. Or, well, not superhero. I guess by today's standard, he'd be an anti-villain, I guess. My argument about, oh, well, if it's not made by one company, what about stability? My entire argument is that Battletech. After FASA folded shop, the fans kept Battletech alive. So if GW folds shop, we'll still have the minis.
That is true.
We'll still have the books. You know, GW, as much as they want to, can't regulate what we do. I mean, GW sells models that you can't legally field in any of their games. Like the Leviathan.
Which is
you
bullshit.
Can't field the Leviathan Dreadnought.
I know, it's just bullshit. I'm just throwing it out there. I have a Black Templar one over there. I 3D printed the motherfucker and painted it with love, and now I can't even use it in my damn fucking Horus Heresy games.
I mean, I pre-ordered the Joy Toy Leviathan. And I'll probably proxy it next time I play as a Titan because it's going to be a huge model.
It's gonna be I have the content the Primaris Dreadnought. It's gonna be as big as that one, and that guy is almost a foot tall.
No, I'm sorry, Dreadnoughts. There are. I like all of the Horus Heresy Dreadnoughts. You know, the Contemptor, the giant Daka Dread, and the Leviathan. I do not like the Primaris Dreadnought because it just looks stupid. And the fact that they're using a Dreadnought chassis as another baby carrier is just no.
Yeah, Lady Rune Song said, oh, wait, chat moved. I think he's clean shaven, so newbies/nobodies don't confuse him with a lion. Wait, Gilliman? I must have missed the context for that. Lady Rune Song, hey babe, do you hate Arch as much as me? Eyebrow wiggle.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. This kind of eyebrow wiggle, or?
How you doing?
How you doing? How you doing?
You know, the Joey eyebrow wiggle. How you doing?
I cannot wait for that Imperial Knight Joy Toy. I want to get the red one.
I'm not gonna go that far.
Wait, what?
I might get a Lehman Russ if they add it, but I've been dissatisfied with their human figurines. Like I got the Deathcore Krieg figures, and to get their helmet to fit the way it's supposed to, you have to chop off half of its head.
Yeah, it was a first run for. I think those were the first guardsmen they ever did. They have improved better. I have the Solar Auxilia, the new. They're very good.
The OG guard.
No, yeah, it's the Tempestus Science. I have the Tempestus Science. They're really good. They have improved a lot better. But yeah, the first Imperial Guard it did was Krieg. Yeah, those helmets like to fall off very easily. Easily.
I'm assuming you're
That's
talking
why I
Joy
just
Toy?
snipped off. Yeah,
Ah, I know nothing about the Joy and the
that's why.
toys.
That's why I just you snip off half of its head, sand it down to make it flat, and then you can put glue the helmet on, so where
Yeah.
it's supposed to be.
Well, everyone sucks says gotta head to bed, unfortunately, but I'll catch up in the morning. Alright. Have a good night, Lady Rune Song. Thank you for stopping by. Your gloriousness will be missed. Have a good one.
Good night.
Good. Now that she's gone, let's talk sexism.
Raging misogyny. Yes.
Let the misogyny flow.
Good. Let the misogyny flow through.
First on business, giant robots.
Second on business, Andrew Tate.
Wait, did something happen with that guy again?
No,
Oh,
No.
wasn't sure.
we're just talking about let the misogyny flow.
Yeah. First we go from to giant robots, then Andrew Tate. As I keep delving deeper to my research of the super robot genre, I realize as I'm writing the correct definition to what describes a super robot, the Imperial Titans of the Imperium are basically super robots.
No.
It
You don't say.
It's just the best definition I've been able to sum down is that a super robot is a mech that is considered a super weapon that can decimate anything on the battlefield and is not mass produced. That is so Imperial Knights are perfectly.
And that's not an Imperial Knight.
Not Knight, a Titan.
I mean, Titans still are mass produced, just
Not
not
that
in.
not that much. It's very rare to see a Titan on the field.
Titans are not mass produced.
No.
In fact, they're not produced. Not in 40K.
Well, they're still produced in 40K.
No, they're maintained.
No, they're produced.
They're
I haven't,
maintained.
not the
Dude,
big one.
Um,
the
Like
entire reason
The
that
Titans
Space
are
Marine,
you confusing the Titans with the Imperial Knights? Because I'm pretty sure the Titans are not produced
I
anymore. That's why it's
like
such a big deal when they uncover one.
the entire plot of the original Space Marine was to save that planet because they were producing Titan.
They were reclaiming one.
Strategic value, absolutely.
And
No, they were
first of
producing
all,
it.
that game is not canon. But second of all, they were reclaiming one. They were repairing it.
I swear they are still produced, but the Forge Worlds that can produce them are incredibly
fro-
rare.
from how they state the lore, how important Titans are, and how rare they are. I expect them to only to produce at least in small
But
numbers the Warhounds, not the bigger ones like the
no,
Imperator.
the Imperators and all that whatnot, those are next to impossible to produce.
Yeah,
Titans are still, the Scout Titan and stuff
yeah.
like
The
that are still
like the
produced. The
Warhounds and the
Reavers are probably
Reavers, I
still.
do see, but like the Warlord, the Imperator, and beyond, I doubt.
Yeah, the Imperator and the Imperator just aren't produced anymore. I mean, technically they are, but those are Chaos Titans. So,
Man,
I mean, are they produced or spawned into being?
I still hate that
That's not
short
spawned into
story.
being. They made quite a few of them during the Horus Heresy, and then after the Horus Heresy, with the Imperial cult and everything kicking off, and the fear of developing technology, they stagnated on development. So they don't have the. If I recall correctly, during the Horus Heresy, they lost the ability to produce Titans.
Man, there's still a lot of Titans that are
So now they
described
just
during the.
reclaim them. Like if they find them on distant worlds that were involved during the Horus Heresy, it's like an archaeological
I
dig.
mean,
Like you find it and it's like, whoa,
that's
we need
that's
to
one of the
fix this
main
up.
reasons Toleron is still supported and allowed to exist, because they're still uncovering stuff from the Horus Heresy at Toleron.
Talaron or Talarn?
I always thought they were produced the Toleran Desert Raiders.
Is it I thought it was Talon, not Toleron. There, there are so many Warhammer Imperial Titans described in the Horus Heresy novels that still haven't gotten models that were mass produced. There's one that
I
had
mean,
three
shoot,
legs.
originally, when Warhammer was still brand new and Epic was a thing, Epic 40K, the Baneblade was described as a scout tank.
Epic 40K is technically still exists.
Well, yeah, they're bringing it back with the Horus Heresy.
Yeah, what is it called? It's not called Epic. It's
Legion.
Legion. Yeah.
The Baneblade's original classification was a scout tank for super heavy division. Could you imagine the stuff that, the Sola Auxilia armored divisions were going up against, where Baneblade was used as a scout vehicle?
Well,
Hell.
because the Bane, well, in lore, the Baneblade, and also the Fellblade were based upon, their schematics were based upon a tank called the Hellblade.
Welcome, Hammer 13 Thor.
We haven't gotten a model of the Hellblade. The Hellblade was used during the Unification Wars of Terra.
Fafnir Bane said, didn't they make the Shadow movie a couple of years back? Yeah, or didn't they make the Shadow movie a couple years back? Oh, the comic book.
Oh yeah, 1994 with Alec Baldwin.
Really?
Yep. What dangers lurk in the heart of men? The shadow knows. Yes. 1994. They
Wait,
originally
is that
started.
the movie with the lady who played the romantic interest of Nick Cage's Ghost Rider in it, and she had printed off? I might be thinking of the totally wrong movie, but it was like a weird comic book movie from the 90s. I think it was The Shadow, and
You leave, guys. I have to go to
That's
work.
why
Have a good
Batman.
night.
Have a good night, man.
Yep. That's why Batman is a ripoff of the Shadow.
Yeah, because the Shadow did come
And
first,
the,
didn't it?
yep. And the only reason Batman, well, you can watch the Razor Fist episode about it, but the reason Batman stopped killing his villains is basically because they wanted to market to kids about more.
That
Because
tracks.
the Shadow started as a pulp and then became a radio show. And the radio show continued for like a decade and a half, like another 15 years after the pulp ended. The Shadow with his two gleaming silver 45s originally were Colt 38 specials, also known as Super Bees.
Super. Dictate lady says LOL hammer. What? Looking hella good. Thank you, Hammer 13 Thor. Much appreciate. Whittling
Hammer.
away at him. Yeah. Making progress. And the base coating's almost done. Then I can finish applying washes.
Used to listen to the Shadow radio show with my dad.
Oh,
No, I'm not that old.
Well, are you or aren't you?
No, I'm not that old.
Okay, so you didn't.
You know, I did, but you could buy them on cassette and CD.
That was my assumption at first, but then you said, well, I'm not that old, so I was like, wait, not that old to have listened to them on the radio, or not that old to have even got the cassettes?
Not that old to originally listen to them on the what you call it. But yeah, the 1994 movie of The Shadow is another one of those cursed creations that was in development hell from like 1972 to when it finally got produced. And it came out, and a week later, I think Armageddon came out.
Stealing its thunder, no dude.
Oh, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, Alec Baldwin is a murdering POS, but I still love that movie. You know, it's like one of the guilty pleasures movies. We all have them. Like, two of mine will always be because of Raul Julia's Street Fighter, and then because of God,
Did
what
he
is his
die?
name? Bob Hot.
Like,
Yes.
Because I was about to say, like, I remember loving him. Tell me if I'm thinking of the wrong actor, but I remember loving him in Addams Family, or Addams Family Values. I loved him to death in that. I loved him in Street Fighter, and I haven't seen him in like anything since. So I didn't know if he like quit the industry, or if he died.
He died of cancer, I think, either when Family Values came out. I think he was dying during Family Values or Street Fighter. I think it was Street Fighter because he was in so much pain. And he passed away due to cancer because of that. And, you know, nobody can ever play M. Bison again because of that. It's like Heath Ledger's Joker. I'm like, yeah, you could put more Jokers on screen, but you're never going to be that threat that Heath Ledger.
Yeah, I can't ever also. I also can't ever see someone playing Gomez. Like, I know other actors have done it since, but it just doesn't feel the same for me for like Gomez. Like, he did such a great job with that role that for me, like, even the original black and white actor who played Gomez for like the original Addams Family show.
Speaking of that, which if you ever go back and watch them are really, really good. They actually have a couple of crossovers with the Munsters. Did you know that the actor who originally played Gomez Addams is the father of Samwise Gamgee's actor?
I did not know that.
Yep.
This world isn't as big as we think it is sometimes.
No.
Well, then again, Hollywood is very nepotism based, so that tracks. But in
The only
fairness,
reason we have Nicolas Cage instead of Nicolas Coppola is because he didn't want nepotism to play into it.
mad respect to him for that.
Oh yeah. And to me personally, Nicolas Cage is just like God, what's his name? Ash versus Evil Dead. God, what the heck is that actor's name?
The one who plays Ash?
Yes, yes.
Oh. I know it too. That's what. Okay. Fuck.
I know. I can't remember. I think it begins with a B. Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, I think that. Yep.
Those two actors are honestly what Hollywood needs to make those fun, campy movies. And for the love of, you need to take the money out of Hollywood. I mean, you don't need $400 million to make a movie. I'm sorry, you don't.
The thing is, in an ideal world, they would use that money smartly, but they just don't.
Like I just heard the other day, I think it's going to be the last Mission Impossible movie. They had a estimated $30 to $40 million mishap on set when a crane broke and dropped the submarine they were using for the movie. You know, it's. Then you have what is it? Top Gun Maverick was made for I think less than $100 million. It wasn't political. It was just a summer blockbuster. It was, basically what the original Top Gun was. It was, hey, cool, look at these Navy fighters.
It's exactly why it did so well. Honestly, like in a better decade, Top Gun Maverick would have been a like kind of an average performing movie. But given the year it came out, it with what it had was up against and I'm not saying it's not a good movie, but I think a lot of people I've seen it. It's a good movie. I love it. It's a pretty good sequel. But you compare like that. Let's say you take that Top Gun Maverick and you were to release it in 2010, for example. Back in 2010, that's when like the decline in movies was really was just starting. But we still had a lot of great movies coming out, and there was a lot of things that had only come out like a couple previous years. So put Top Gun Maverick at that point with like the movie-going audiences still seeing good films and fun films. I think people would praise it. I think it would get good scores, but would it be as acclaimed as people are treating it as it is right now? Honestly, no. What really helped that film be and feel as iconic and as stand out as it does is it came out during a time where its competition was dog shit. Like
Cruise sat on it. He sat on it for I think two and a half years because it was originally supposed to come out in summer 2020, but he sat on the movie and said, "I'm going to release it. I just want to release it at the perfect time." And he released it when there was a lot of dumb stuff in theaters that nobody was going to see. He released Top Gun, and it just made all of the money that year. It was the highest grossing movie of Hollywood in, I think, 2023.
Man, that does not surprise me.
I mean, I don't go to movie theaters anymore just because I can't stand how loud they are. And I'll wait for it to come out in streaming. But as soon as it did, I bought it.
I'm kind of depressed that Godzilla Minus One didn't come out in streaming because none of the theaters in my state played it. So I have not been able to see it.
Garrius. Godzilla -1, the last stand of the IJN Otago.
Hammer says that shot where the Dark Star overshoots the checkpoint was done in one shot. Really?
Which movie is that one? Mission Impossible?
If it's what I'm thinking.
No,
of.
that was Top Gun. That was Top Gun.
I was about to say, this is what I'm thinking of. I'm pretty sure that's Top Gun.
Yeah, the experimental aircraft they were using, that they were flying.
That was done in one shot?
Wasn't it a CGI shot that they were flying? Because I know at the end of the movie, when he goes up in that P-51, that's actually Tom Cruise's P-51 Mustang. I just dislike P-51s. Don't get me wrong. They were called the Cadillac of the Sky for a reason. But I don't like the P-51.
Oh, okay. So it's not done CGI. So, well, it was and isn't. So what they used to actually film the scene was an F-18. This is Hammer 13 Thor's explaining in chat. I'm also seeing a little trivia bit thing here. They used an F-18 and for the shot and replace it with the Dark Star in post-production. So they had like the CGI model and they designed that.
Okay.
And then they had like the real F-18 footage and they just superimposed that airplane, through the 3D model onto the real one to mimic what was going on in the scene. So it's a live action film shot with CGI superimposed onto an existing aircraft for the footage. Which is, by the way, how you should use CGI. You shouldn't just completely do everything in CGI like a lot of movies do these days, which is despite the fact that I love the 3D model and 3D animation was a bread and butter of something I really wanted to be when I grew up, when I was a kid. I think we way overuse it these days.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully, there's more of a push to go back to practical.
Oh, well, that's why the couple of movies that were incredibly practical with practical effects really do gangbusters. It's to the point where CGI is so good it looks uncanny. You know, if that makes any sense. You know, when CGI originally came out, it was like, oh, that's neat. And, you know, you could suspend your disbelief because it was something new and neat. But now you see CGI, at least for me, I see CGI in a movie and it's just, okay, that's incredibly, that doesn't look right. But that's just me.
No, I think most people agree with you. Even the best looking CGI that's trying to be hyper realistic is still there's the uncanny valley. There's something still off about it.
Yeah. It looks good, but it doesn't look natural.
Yeah, it will always stand out. Like there's no way to make it, at least as of the current technology, make it look one for one next to a real person on a camera. Not like if you put a CGI person next to a real person in a shot, it becomes immediately recognizable to the eye what's real and what's not. Unless you are very careful at hiding subtleties. Like if you put CGI on an existing thing in a scene and it blends in onto that thing and moves with it fluently, that CGI will be unrecognizable to the human eye as being CGI. But if you take a real living person and put them directly next to a completely CGI character, it'd be immediately obvious to the eye.
You know, that's one of the things I can actually praise the Fallout TV show is a lot of that was incredibly practical. Except for, you know, the flying Bethune in T60 Power.
I can't really praise that show because of what they did with Fallout lore. Like I will agree with the notion that the show did a very awesome job with the aesthetic of Fallout. That's it. It's a pretty face, but I didn't want a pretty face. I wanted substance.
It's Fallout 4, the TV show. It's a pretty face and a functional shooter, but it has the depth of a puddle.
The only other thing I could praise about this show is the acting. I really like Walter Goggins or Walton Goggins. Is it Walter or Walton?
I think it's Walter.
Yeah, I really like his performance with the ghoul and his character work. Everything I've seen that actor in, I pretty much like him in. So that wasn't a big surprise for me. But I never seen the Lucy actor before, and I really liked her performance as well. She played a pretty quirky, happy-go-lucky, naive character very well.
We should do a watch party to finish that, even if we don't record anything.
Oh, I gave up. Like, I've tried every conceivable edit, including just not showing the footage, and it's still capturing. So, I don't know. The bot particularly hates me. Hey, almost done.
Either that or I thought of an idea we could try, but I don't know if you'd want to try it.
Probably not. I mean, again, I've tried my best to get that freaking thing to go up.
Well, like how the Drinker and Muller did the Star Trek movies. It's basically all right. Start the show at this point, and then it's a commentary track with no actual footage of the TV show.
William MCC, what didn't you like about it? Well, where do I begin? The third main character, the Brotherhood of Steel guy, and everything to do with the portrayal of the Brotherhood of Steel. Not only is it incredibly lore inaccurate, but it's a downright slander, almost, on the lore we do have for either chapter, mind you, of the Brotherhood of Steel. Whether we're talking the Fallout end of the franchise, the Bethesda end of the Fallout franchise, or we're talking the Obsidian Black Isle Studios originals, which I prefer those. I think most people who have played those, or at the very least know the story of Fallout 1, 2, Tactics, and New Vegas, tend to prefer the storytelling in those because it was a evolving wasteland. It wasn't just a stagnant post-apocalypse. You see that with the NCR in particular. Speaking of, what the show did with the NCR. Pretty much everything I hate about the show is everything it tries to do with Fallout lore. Because everything it does, it either completely steps on and pisses on the legacy of, or it adds new things that make no sense based on lore we have previously had. Like, the show is just a dreadful adaptation in regards to the lore it's supposed to be portraying. I absolutely hate what they did with it. Like, there's so many avenues they could have gone and done essentially the same plot that it would have worked way better. Like, just location-wise and factions-wise, move the whole fucking show to, I don't know, the United States South. We haven't seen Texas. We haven't seen the Louisiana. We haven't seen New Orleans. We haven't seen anything like that. Why do East Coast and West Coast? As we already get that in the games. Move it somewhere else. You could do the exact same plot, and because there's no established lore in those areas, at least as far as the games go, there might be tidbits written here and there about what's going on, but only the most nitpickiest Fallout fans will go after that. But there are, like, if you're just a general fan of Fallout, and you know the broad story of Fallout 1, 2, Tactics, and New Vegas, you're going to hate this fucking show. It just spits on all of it.
If you wanted to do something with, Fallout New Vegas and whatnot, set it in, Texas. The dwellers, and you could make up that the Pridwin was trying to reconnect with the West Coast chapter because they've been radio silent, and they get into this conflict with the eastern expansion of Caesar's Legion.
Yeah, also killing off the NCR. Like, if you want to get me to hate a Fallout show, do exactly what they did at the end of episode 1. Show the boneyard and show that it's a dead zone. And then from there portray that the NCR is fucked.
Yeah.
I absolutely hated what they fucking did with it. I can't watch. If this is a season 2 to the show, I can't watch it. Like, it's just.
It's going to be, and it's going to be in New Vegas.
Ugh, I don't even know. I don't want to see what they do with that at all.
And to me, the entire point of the show has switched from, Fallout's tagline, war never changes, to big corporations greedy as it's being produced by the biggest corporation on the face of the planet right now.
Yeah, the anti-capitalist like messaging too. That was cringe, but I wasn't surprised. It's Amazon. Surprised we didn't get more of that bullshit. But I'll never get over the irony of that coming from a big corporation. Capitalism is evil, as we sell you shit on Amazon for a bunch of capitalist bullshit.
And I also don't mind the fact that it renewed interest in Fallout. I don't think that's a bad thing with the new people coming in.
No, that's a good outcome of it. And hopefully a lot of the people who, like William MCC here says, he played the games but not hugely into the lore. Like, hopefully there's a lot of people like you, William, who saw the show and maybe they didn't play the games or didn't know the lore and were like, okay, I want to get into the games, I want to check out the lore. And in your case, you don't care for the lore, but hopefully more people were willing to check out the legacy lore, like go to Fallout 1, go to 2, go to Tactics, go to New Vegas, go to all those, learn about the setting.
Tactics isn't canon.
Well, it may not be canon, but it's still got a lot of the same themes from the traditionals. But regardless.
And I like the fact that it takes place in Chicago.
Like with the original vision of Fallout, it's not supposed to be a post-apocalypse. Fun fact. Like the first game was post-apocalypse. The second game was post-apocalypse, and each subsequent game was supposed to continue with that idea in mind. Fallout was not supposed to be a stagnant setting, which is always post-apocalypse, no matter what game they did. Bethesda is what has established that and kept that going, and I fucking hate it. That's why I hate Bethesda. That's part of why I hate Bethesda's storytelling. Is they seem to they lack any level of creativity to be able to just go forward with that idea. It's like, hey, this is a post-apocalypse. Let's have a developing setting. Not every faction's home base has to look like a scrapyard of junk welded together and buildings made out of vehicles that have broken apart and aircraft that have crashed. Actually start masonry, brickwork, building actual structure. It's been it's been over 200 fucking years since the bombs dropped, and we've seen no development with society.
That's why I can't stand Fallout 4. There's just trash everywhere.
Yeah,
it's
I hate it. Like I hate that Bethesda lack any level of creativity. Like it's just the same shit over and over again. It's like
it's one of the performance. I'm sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
It's infuriating to see them just happily stagnate the setting. And I guess because they're just afraid to experiment or try new things. Like, it's disappointing.
That's why one of my favorite performance mods for Fallout 4, and will always be in the load order when I go back and play, is the Declutterer mod. That basically all those random bits of clutter and debris everywhere deletes from the game. Like, even rubble can be repurposed and remashed into building material. But if I can figure it out, because there are a couple of mods I want to make for Fallout 4. Like I want to make, a squad based on everybody from the server, and I want to redo what I think Diamond City should actually be. Because they have really good Diamond City expanded mods, but you're telling me that in 200 years, Diamond City didn't think it was a good idea to get rid in a wide area around Diamond City all of those rusted, clapped out buildings for materials, like that paint machine, the one where you have to go into the Raiders house to get paint for the wall. It's like you wouldn't go there and actually move the machine to Diamond City. I mean, you have robots that can lift. It's not that hard. In that type of situation with Diamond City, to maintain security, yeah, you'd have guards and posts, but you'd also flatten the area out in a wide area around the actual fortress that is Diamond City.
They would actually also start building a city. Like, what it is it's a scrap heap. Again, it's just like, it's a complete lack of creativity on Bethesda's part to keep the initial concept that Black Isle Studios and Obsidian established. It's like, it's just supposed to be for those who don't know, between Fallout 1 and 2, 70 years passed. And in that time, it showed that the societies that were established in Fallout 1 had developed. Shady Sands was starting to become the NCR. The Boneyard
Did you
had
say
started...
7 or 70?
70.
Sorry.
So 70 years progressed between those two games. Now, unlike Bethesda, the original creators of Fallout actually wanted the setting to develop. They didn't want it to just be stagnant. So in that time, the first game established, this is a good example of like how the setting progressed, is the currency in Fallout 1 was established to be caps, bottle caps, because that was an easy to find source around. What changed in 70 years? Because things would change in 70 years. Bottle caps are worthless in Fallout 2. Because there's a new currency developed by the NCR, because they're redeveloping the wasteland. They're trying to bring back old America. So they had also begun printing a paper currency, a NCR dollar. That is the currency of Fallout 2. And the original Fallout 3, before Bethesda took over the franchise, and before Black Isle Studios went under and eventually became Obsidian, they were going to further progress the setting. Like each and every game was supposed to be a jump forward in time, showing how humanity came out of the vaults in Fallout 1, and how shit things were, how bad things were. But then you jump forward in time, 70 years to the second game. Okay, society's starting to develop. Bottle caps are no longer the currency, because now there's an actual society developing with the New California Republic. There's actual cities and factions. The New California Republic is actually, instead of just putting together scrap buildings and pulling together broken vehicles and shit and calling it a hut in a town, they're getting rid of that scrap. They're melting it down. They're creating proper fencing and walls. There's actual restructuring. They're starting to redevelop the road system. All of this is happening over time because the original creators were intelligent enough to be like, hey, humans are back. We're coming out of the wasteland sucks. There's lots of bad stuff. There's still nuclear weapons, and yes, people are still warring. People are still fighting, but people, like what would happen with the NCR, are interested in redeveloping and bringing back society.
And that's why the Enclave in 2 decided to start attacking, is because the NCR was starting to develop into an actual new government. And the Enclaves were like, wait a minute, we're the American government. You can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever get a chance, just look at Vault City, where they use their Garden of Eden creation kit. Outside of Vault City, it's dirty and grungy, but still relatively well maintained. Walk inside, clean streets, brand new buildings, clean services. Not rusted junk everywhere. Well maintained arms and armor. That's originally what a GEC was supposed to be used for, not the idea to purify water through some weird thing, which, by the way, I didn't know at the time, but I do now. You know, you can purify radiated water with dirt.
I did not know that. No.
Yeah.
I know you can filter water through combination of dirt, coal, and some other stuff to filter out all the bad stuff and make like
And I
clean
think
drinking water.
the charcoal actually removes radiation too. Somehow. I don't know how. Tang would know. I don't. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. Fallout 4, I will sing the praises of Fallout 4 to the ends of the earth. The story is stupid, don't get me wrong. But Fallout 4 is my favorite Fallout because of the ease of modding and the modding community that has made awesome, awesome DLCs and whatnot. Just, what is it? Just, I think a couple of weeks ago, the revamp for America Rising that actually adds the Enclave as a faction into Fallout 4 just got released, the 2.0 of America Rising. And it adds so many voiced characters, a huge quest line, and all that whatnot. And you can actually beat Fallout 4 as the Enclave now.
That's a pretty substantial mod.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for the Project London mod to come out.
Oh, dude, as soon as that comes out, getting it on GOG. Because
Like,
Nexus can't actually support it.
Nexus is a shithole anyway.
Nathan actually shared a website with me that basically hosts all of the mods that Nexus has kicked off of it. What's up?
I was just gonna say wise choice for whatever company built that website. Say, hey, there's a market.
Like the declutterer mod is a must-have. Whatever you prefer for FMV improvements to make everything look nicer is, I think, a requirement. Whatever you prefer, because you know I've played, you know, I've done the springtime, which basically blooms the wasteland and has green grass and all that whatnot. The wasteland's not going to stay irradiated and desolate for 200 years. It's not. Just look at Pripyat and the areas around Chernobyl. It's actually green and lush and rebuilding. You know, nature will find a way to get around it, but that's neither here nor there. Another mod is militarized Minutemen, and we are the Minutemen. And whatever mod you choose, it gets rid of the combat rifle and the assault rifle. I prefer, you know, the G3 mod, the various G3 mods that they have to add the R91 in to replace the assault rifle. I hate that gun with a passion. That gun should have been a power armor only weapon, and it should have been belt fed.
Xhammer says, hell, look around the areas around Fukushima.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said,
but yeah,
Fukushima.
You know, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. You know, it's barely been 79 years. 79 years. If next month is the 80th anniversary of D-Day, yeah, 79 years since the A-bombs were dropped. Or the Bikini Atoll experiment. The island mass that's there is recovered and has stuff living on it. It has ocean life around it. And the water is not radiated. The metal is still radiated. but it's yeah, it's just like then you see these different settlements that have these dilapidated buildings in it. I'm like, you like you can see Sturgis use a hand welder in his idle animations as he's roaming around Sanctuary using a welder. You're going to tell me you know how to weld, but you can't patch a metal building? And another mod I think is a must-have is Sim Settlements.
Sim Settlements?
Mm-hmm. It's a mod that adds in, basically simplifies all of the settlement building. You have to, and it adds huge numbers of quests and NPCs and all that whatnot. And what it adds is you basically you put down these different plots. Like one of my playthroughs, I actually had Sanctuary built out in different areas. Like I had a living section, and you put down these different plots, and as the game progresses and you get more resources and start trading with other settlements, your populace will actually start building up their homes and building up their businesses and building up their defenses. And you can put down farming plots that will actually, all right, this is going to be a mute fruit farm. This is going to be a potato farm. This is going to be corn. And it simplifies all of the settlement building, which I absolutely love. And it's a huge mod with, like, I think he just released Sim Settlements 2.0 not too long ago. And it just adds so much more. Like, not only defensive buildings, but like power armored station buildings, which will, as it builds up and as you progress through the game and again get more resources, the power armor will go from frame to T45 to 51 to 60. And you can actually cut it off at T60. So they'll never make XO1, or they'll never spawn in an XO1 suit. And it ups the defense of your settlement, where you actually have trained guards that can use power armor.
What? Power armor training? Never heard of it.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, it makes sense for Nate to know how to use power armor right off the bat. It makes no sense for Nora to know how to use power armor.
Well, didn't you hear, Caboose? If you fuck someone who knows how to use power armor, through that fuckery, the knowledge is transferred into you. If that's not how it works, I have no fucking clue how she learned how to pilot a fucking power
Unless
armor.
Nate somehow taught her how to use power armor. I don't know how.
Or there's another way he probably taught her. He showed her that footage that apparently was him from Fallout 1, where he's
handing the pistol over.
He's like, so honey, so as we watch this footage of me committing a war crime, allow me to explain the inner functionality of this power armor to you. That way, if you ever need to pilot it for some random reason.
It's a highly top secret and a state secret, but
Yeah. I will never forget that the lead writer, the guy who's supposed to be in charge of Fallout lore.
For Bethesda.
Not
that caveat.
I cannot believe he went on Twitter and was like, "Hey guys, you see this screenshot? These two characters from Fallout 1? Well, that was Nate. My OC, the character I added to the lore via Fallout 4. Yeah, that's him, guys." Then it literally took 10 seconds. Someone was like, "So wait, your new main character is a war criminal?"
Wait, what?
The sad thing is I'm still wondering. You took a pick from Fallout 1. Presumably you watched the trailer or the clip that's from and saw the shooting.
See, opening cutscene for the bleeping game. I'm trying to be clean. Trying to be clean. Give me that. But that's the opening cutscene for Fallout 1.
The game that is the reason you guys have a franchise. And he didn't even know. He had no fucking idea. Kaiju says it's insane the mods made by a couple of people are better than a game company and publisher.
Oh, dude, I guarantee you Bethesda's going to try to squash London somehow. Which, funny thing, talking about mods, and we're not going to go into the whole kerfluffle of the Frontier, which I actually kind of enjoyed that mod. Didn't like the weird stuff that was in it, but the tank that you get in that mod, the Sherman, technically is canon that you can use a Sherman in Fallout. Because in Tactics, you get a tank later in the game.
Right, I thought Tactics wasn't canon.
That's the thing. It is and it isn't. The sky just went daytime.
What?
We got like driving into the tail end of those storms that are down in Louisiana. But yeah, it's interesting. Tactics is a fun game, but Tactics is very inagrical to a lot of the stuff in Fallout because Tactics has Humvees. Doesn't make much sense. But according to the guys who actually made it, it was easier to make the Humvee for the FMV where it's in than trying to model the people and all that whatnot for that cutscene. So that's why you have the up-armored Humvees for the Brotherhood of Steel in Chicago. Or, well, not up-armored Humvees, but Tactics is definitely a game you should play through, in my opinion. Don't bother with Brotherhood of Steel. Because Brotherhood of Steel was very much somebody put their fetish on full display in that game.
You can find a full playthrough of that on YouTube for anyone who wants to get the Fallout Brotherhood of Steel experience. It's quite the show. It looks more like a Borderlands ripoff to me.
Oh yeah, it's more Mad Max than Fallout.
Especially with those skimpy outfits.
And the main villain. Like, oh, you want me to submit to you and make...
You know what it reminded me of immediately when I started watching clips of it? What was the name of that fucking biker game? Ride to Hell Retribution?
Oh, BMX XXX. Oh, no.
No, Ride to Hell Retribution. Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, but if you've seen if you played that God of Mercy,
never heard of that?
No.
Game. It was obviously it was a BMX game. They got it a rated M for mature title. Actually, I think they were going to give it an A for adult title, but they called it BMX XXX, and it was supposed to be raunchy and super sexual and all that whatnot. And it's a T for teen game. Like, congratulations, your character is a lady in a bikini top and a super mini skirt. That's what you thought was raunchy at the time, which in the early 2000s it was.
Hammer Thor says, the mods for Space Marine 2 are going to be off the scale. That's assuming that they provide mod support.
I mean, they didn't give mod support to Battlefleet Gothic 2, but there's an awesome mod for it.
Yeah, but when they don't have mod support, it's a lot more of a pain in the ass to apply the mods.
Since was it Micropose just released? Okay, what are we doing here? Micropose released a game called Mech Engineer, where you build these different mechs and all that whatnot. You send your pilots out with the mechs, and I was talking with the guys in the BattleTech forum, and they're like, "Yeah, I looked into this, and this is so much spaghetti coding. I can't mod this into a BattleTech game." So I know the feeling of not having mod support.
I swear to
Speaking of
God,
which, Thunder Cycler just released a video today too.
if you ever need practice for like if you ever plan to go to a rave or a heavy metal concert where you're gonna be shaking your arm up and down a lot, just miniature paint with a lot of old paint pots. Go get your practice in.
Yeah, 40K games. Speaking of 40K games, they've been kind of off the chain recently. Like really good video games.
Yeah, they're still a little bit rough, but yeah, they've been better than usual lately.
I mean, we got a couple of duds. The Deathwing game, which I still like to play it, but I play it with friends, and playing anything with friends makes anything better.
Yeah.
Then you have the Hired Gun, which
That was a shithole.
yeah, I can't play that. It's like I don't understand their thinking. But then again, it's a game made by the people who made Divine Cybermancy.
Was it made by
No,
the
it's
same
Moon
people?
Logic. Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's Moon Logic, the video game. And they also made Deathwing.
Huh. That's new information to me.
We're getting Space Marine 2, which I'm a little worried about that, but
Fingers crossed. Like I mentioned on my last stream, I'm not picking it up until I see a trusted reviewer tell me it's not a buggy piece of shit. First of all, that's rule number one. I refuse to get it if it's another buggy piece of shit. I'm done getting AAA games that are absolutely
that's why I didn't buy Homeworld 3.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of it. It's old at this point. I'm tired of spending $60 or now 70. They're asking for fucking 70 for games that are less functional than games that came out 15 years ago.
I think didn't I buy you the old Army Men games I played in my childhood that I absolutely loved? You should try those. I think you'd enjoy them.
I'd have to install them.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying. The indie market for video games is just amazing. I want to try that one on the server. Somebody I think put it in either 40K or vid sharing a mod for this horror like game. It's like I want to try that. And you have stuff like Dark Tide, which
is a hit
it's
and a miss
okay.
at the same time.
To put in the immortal words of Morton Joe, mediocre.
Yeah.
But when you play with friends, it makes it good. Speed Freak looks like it's going to be a good one.
Wait, which one?
Speed Freaks.
Yes, I beta tested that bitch. That's gonna be a good game.
Oh yeah, I did too. I love driving the looted Russ.
Not gonna lie, like my one exception to the boycott, and I'm not even ashamed for it. But technically, it's not because I played the beta for that before the Custodes thing, and I committed to picking it up when it came out before the Fem Custodes thing. So, but Speed Freaks is ready. I'm getting that, but that's it. But that's because again, I played the beta. I know it's gonna be a good game, and I committed to getting it out when I played the beta. So.
Why do they keep going after the Imperium? Like, we don't have people, it's like, oh, we need fem orcs and fem necrons and,
Are they pushing for that now?
fem this. No, but there's nobody that's pushing for it.
Oh, as in
Yeah,
like there's
like,
none of the woke crowd are trying to push for that stuff.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Because they're
It's
not
only the Imperium.
to quote Hellstorm Wargaming, it's because they're not the
Supposed
they're not the poster boys. That's why.
Because I love the idea of Chaos Sisters. I love the idea of Chaos Sisters. That I think that would be an interesting faction. Is sisters, the pious of pious, have fallen.
They aren't going after the Imperium. Yes, they are. What? They're going after you. I mean, they are also doing that, but
Yeah,
they're doing it through the Imperium in terms of the lore. Both are true.
It's like, oh, how come there are no female Necrons or what you would call it? And I actually saw somebody. How come there are no female Tau? And everybody just said Shadow Song.
I was about to say. Hey, you haven't looked on any fan art sites, have you? That's a Google search.
One of the best fan outs I ever saw of Shadow Song is her outside of her power armor, just as that one girl from what is it? Guy Gergen Laren or whatever that is. I don't know how to pronounce it. I have this mighty drill that will pierce the heavens. That.
Oh, Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, the sniper lady with the flame bikini.
Yeah, she's not the one who says that line in that, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
No, I know, but that's the only quote I could remember from that anime.
Kaiju is calling you a weeb. He is correct.
Yeah, Mr. Super Robot.
He's also a weeb.
Oh, yeah.
You're both a weebs.
I mean,
So am I.
we have a channel in this Discord called Weebery. Actually, so he's waiting for my dispatch orders. I watched two animes. One I started watching when it originally came out in 2013 and just didn't finish. And another one that's relatively new. I finished watching, what is it, Kuma Kuma Bear, which I thought was cute until I'm like, yeah, this is kind of creepy. And I think it's called Gargantia, the Virtuous Planet, or something like that, which is a mecha anime. And
sounds familiar.
I love that one. It basically it takes place on Earth, but everybody's are living on these giant city ships. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that anime. I want to finish up the OVAs because they were going to do a second season, but they never got the funding for it, so they released 4-hour-long OVAs to finish up the story.
That's more than some anime get. Some, not just anime, but that's more than some media get. Some media that are like, I'll still lament when Star Trek Enterprise never got a full 7 seasons, like all the other Star Treks. Like, it started out rough, but I remember watching it when it was airing, and it was good.
Got better.
It got way better. Like by season 3, it was in my opinion, it got better faster than TNG got better. Like TNG, it was like 3 straight seasons were rough. Granted, still great, still fun, but
One of the little facts about that is the commander in Enterprise, his piping on his uniform is gold, not red.
yeah,
And
that makes sense because
yeah,
the earliest point in the lore, which would be Star Trek Enterprise, he has the gold trim.
wouldn't that be the TNG movie?
Well, yes, but that's because they go back in time.
I know, I'm just messing.
But the earliest point in terms of like the straight canon timelines for each of the shows would be Star Trek Enterprise, and they had the command colors for that be red, and then they changed to gold later. Oh, sorry, no, they started out being gold, and then they transferred to like the gold shirts, in Kirk's era, and then they switched to command red between that generation and the next generation. So command gold was actually the appropriate color choice for Enterprise, because that would have carried forward. I know that there was Gene Roddenberry had like a lore reason he wrote down why they switched from command gold to command red. I can't remember what it was now though.
I'm not really big into Star Trek.
I
did watch the Vic Mignogna miniseries, Star Trek Continues, where they finish out the 5-year voyage of the USS Enterprise. And I love that. That was amazing.
It's always good to watch Star Trek fans get a win once in a while.
I'm still waiting for Axanar to actually come out, but that's I've given up on that.
I don't know that one.
Axanar is basically it takes place during the first human Klingon War, and it's basically about the turning point in that war where the Federation gets its upper hand, and it's basically it takes place at the planet of Axanar, where basically it's the Federation's midway, where they turn the tide of the war against the Klingon, and where I think the Constitution class is still in space dock being built, but the first actual warship the Federation has, I can't remember what it was called, the Constellation class, I think. It's the first deployment of the Constellations.
Technically speaking, there is, and again, very technically, and this also depends on if you go with, it depends on if you factor in the STD show and like the Abrams retcons. If you don't go by it, you go by original lore. To this day, there's still no official warship outside of the Defiant. They have ships that the Klingons certainly would call warships and are armored like warships, but the Federation always avoids calling any of its craft anything to do with like fighting. They're not afraid to call a ship, like let's say an escort class or a frigate, or a patrol ship, but they avoid staunchly calling any of their ships warships. The only craft in the fleet, at least by the original timeline, that ever was officially called a warship was the Defiant. So, like the Constellation class or the Constitution class, those larger craft that were given a shit ton of weaponry, they tended to avoid calling them, because the thing is, by all accounts, again, they were armed. They were designed as warships. Like, if you want to make the argument, it's like, okay, you can still call them that as a fan, though, because that's what they were designed for. Absolutely.
Actually, I
But it's
don't think
in
they called it a
universe.
warship in the mini episode that they did for Axonar. I don't think they called it a warship. I think the wording was the first ship purposefully designed for combat.
Yeah, like the Federation. What it's kind of what I liked about like the internal politics about the world is I can't remember. I remember Picard kind of commenting on it, not specifically about this particular point, but he commented throughout TNG about some of the bureaucracy with the Federation and its fear of like it was a couple episodes when they were dealing with the Klingons. He denoted the Federation's refusal to get involved in situations where they blatantly should have because they were afraid of instigating war, and they were always he made like a point about the Federation's fear of being seen as aggressors even where they should be aggressors.
Oh, I agree with Card on that. The biggest problem with the Federation in Star Trek is they're so worried about how the galaxy sees them to the point of immobility.
Yep. Kaiju says the Akira class is their warship for the Borg. Correct. They that one I guess you could also argue is called a warship, but the context is different. It's an anti-Borg craft. They did categorize them as a warship, but in that case they did specify its purpose for the Borg. Again, it's still a good example of the Federation's bureaucracy. It's like this thing is a warship. It's designed to be anti-Borg and fight their craft, but they're not gonna. They would always add that caveat or qualifier whenever we're talking about the Akira class or the Defiant class after the Dominion War. Like the Federation really didn't like calling even its ships that were blatantly designed for fighting and defense. Like a lot of ships that, by all accounts, you should have called a warship, they ended up categorizing as patrol ships. Planetary defense ships.
Well, that's why, there's no reference to warships in STO. You just have what the three classes: engineering ships, science vessels, and then what is it? Tactician ships, tactical ships.
Yeah, like
Yeah, they don't.
it's an active fear that it's very funnily contrasted by the Klingon, like the IKS craft in the Klingon. Even their ships that are science vessels are still at minimum considered a patrol vessel. Like the Klingons do
I
have
mean,
science vessels, but they still put some kind of hostile name category in it.
Klingons, the Federations are very much, frigates, cruisers. Klingons are very much battleships, dreadnoughts, battle cruisers.
Where the fuck did
The naming conventions are totally different.
Oh yeah. You ask me, the Klingons and the Romulans keep it real with their categories of ships. It's like, yeah, this is a warship. Yeah, this is a Devastator class. This is Bird of Prey, Talon. They keep it real.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what is this ship for? Espionage and assassination. Okay, what about this ship? This ship is for planetary destruction. Sorry, what? You heard me, bitch. I really do. I'll always miss the characterization of Romulans from TNG and Deep Space Nine. Like the very subterfuge, lie by habit, truth is subjective.
Actually, I think I started watching Star Trek again with my dad with TNG. on, on PBS. So I remember earlier in the day, I'd watch Reading Rainbow and then watch Star Trek with Mr. Geordie LaForge.
When I was 4 years old, my dad babysat me by sitting down and having me, while I hung out or played in the living room, watch Star Trek the original series, and we rewatched the whole thing when I turned 12. So, and as I grew up, I watched each of the subsequent shows after the original series. So, and in order, because we had it all on. My dad was a huge Trekkie. Like, he went to Vegas to back when they had like that Star Trek thing every year.
Oh, where you could, be on the command bridge of the Enterprise and have your picture taken and all that whatnot.
Yeah, and you can get a bunch of knickknacks and stuff. He that's like my mom wanted my dad to go on a vacation with her, just the two of them, because they didn't really get to do it much while me and my sister were growing up. But we had hit an age where we could kind of babysit ourselves for the most part with minimal supervision. So they just had one of our relatives kind of be like check in on and hang out with us for like dinner and lunch, and like get us ready for like the next school day while they were gone for a week. And my mom was like, okay, you and me go on a vacation. You get to pick where. And my dad is a homebody. He sticks to the house. He doesn't really... He very rarely... He's doing it more that he's older now, and he's kind of at the fuck it, why not age. But, like at that point, he was a lot more resistant to, like, doing certain things. But he was like, okay, we get to go on a vacation. I get to pick where we go and what for. And she went, yeah, all you. He chose Vegas to go to the Star Trek con. And he came back with a bunch of souvenirs.
So one thing I want to get myself is I want to get a tailored Star Trek uniform. That uniform Kirk has in the movies, that red one that looks really snappy.
Yes.
The dress uniform. I want to get one of those for myself.
I can only imagine the tailoring cost.
Oh, it's probably going to be $1,000 easy.
Oh yeah, especially with today's economy.
Oh yeah.
Ugh. I miss the old days. Back when
Our media was good and people could get excited for Star Wars.
Back when every new video game was exciting and wasn't a buggy, shitty mess for the price.
You could get more than $1 from GameStop or EB Games when you traded them in.
Yeah. Now we live in the dark times.
Oh, I do have to say, mobile gaming has improved a lot. And I don't mean like phone gaming. I mean actual gaming mobile,
Like
the Switch is a neat little... Yeah, the Switch is a neat little thing. My Steam Deck is a neat little thing.
Yeah.
I can't play really technical games. Although I can play Cyberpunk. It's weird.
I would argue the peak of mobile gaming in that regard was probably the era where we had the PSP, the Game Boy, the Nintendo. I can't remember which version of the DS.
1 and 2.
Like all of those all those mobile, nearly every console company was developing some kind of mobile platform for people to play on. That was like I would say like the golden age of mobile gaming in terms of not like phone gaming, but like mobile console. Now it's pretty much just the Switch. Like the Switch has no competition at the moment in regards to like a mobile platform in which people can play on.
Oh yeah, and I was actually reading an interesting article the other day. It's called Sony Doesn't Realize How Patient PC Gamers Are. And it was an interview that somebody had done with the head of PlayStation. It was like, well, yeah, that's our entire reason we're releasing the first episodes of games on PCs, because then they'll buy the PlayStation 5 and go play the sequel. And the interview is like, yeah, and you don't understand how patient these guys are. They've waited 20 years to have the rest of Halo from Halo 3 and everything that came after that on PC because we had Halo 1 and 2.
These
I
bitches,
had a copy of Halo 2 for PC.
these bitches funded the development of a Star game with Star Citizen, and are still not convinced that that game's a scam.
Don't don't say that. I bought a ship in 2015.
For how much?
$115.
It's not as bad as some people. Some people spend $2,000, $3,000.
Oh, dude, what is it? Gus from Rooster Teeth, may they rest in peace. He last time I heard about him in Star Citizen, he has bought every single ship in that game.
He's broke.
Like if he could have, I'm sure if they released it, he'd buy that giant battle cruiser aircraft carrier that apparently is somewhere in the galaxy. If you find a derelict one and get it back to Starport, you can claim it as your own. That's never going to happen.
Kaiju said, really, Caboose? $115 for a ship. Not even a real ship, a digital ship. For a game that's still not out.
It was 2015. They had a decent tech demo, and I was excited because I loved Wing Commander.
I will say this, anytime someone says something along the lines of, oh, PC gamers aren't as bad as console gamers, we're not as, cult-like as they are. All I do is point to Star Citizen is like, yes, we are. Yes, we fucking are. We are just as bad. The difference is, we're much more anal and specific.
I mean, what is it? The space game that came out that was a horrible, everybody was angry at it when it originally came out, No Man's Sky, just got a huge content update this week with more ships and more planets and more gear and all that whatnot. I'm just like, cool. Elite Dangerous and No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky went from shit bullshit game to a jewel of a video game. In the time Star Citizen still hasn't released. And Squadron 47 or Squadron 42, whatever the hell it was called, was supposed to come out this year. I think it's been pushed back to next year. The single player prologue to Star Citizen. I'm fully aware you can still play Star Citizen. You can play the marine combat, and you can go out in your ship and do stuff and all that whatnot. It's a functioning alpha or whatever. I don't care. It's taking you 10 years to make this game. In those 10 years, the guy who's developing it has bought mansions in Europe, a castle in Europe, multiple Lamborghinis and Ferraris, and decided instead of hiring more staff to make the game, put in one of those swishing doors from Star Wars, but Star Trek, but made it Star Citizen themed in his office, and has bought multiple properties. I'm sorry, that game is a scam, and the guy who's in charge of that is the biggest scam artist on the face of the planet. And if anybody who likes Star Citizen has heard me say that, I will get doxxed, I will get hunted, I will get threatened.
Like I said, we're just as bad.
The cult of Star Citizen is nothing compared to Eve.
Compared to what?
Eve Online.
Okay, to be fair, it's a very different context, because EVE Online is a game that is out in full release.
Yes, but the cult is just as bad.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But at least they're a cult of a game of something that exists and is real.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I tried to play Eve once. I got super into it, but then I lost my entire fleet.
Tends to happen.
Oh well. Especially when it's miscommunication and somebody accidentally took the wrong ship out of port and created a. I think what was it? The last time I played Eve, I participated in the battle that cost like over $400,000 worth of damage to people and fleets. Like it was a ridiculously high number of units and fleets that were decimated. We're talking multiple uh, science ships or multiple titans and all that whatnot. We're lost in this kerfuffle.
Was it an intended fight?
No, that entire fight started because somebody misclicked on their port. Instead of taking out the ship they wanted, they took out their Titan and warped someplace they were going to do something with their Titan. And the Titan's auto defenses kicked off and started labeling everybody in this territory. So every big clan, including the Space Pope, started fighting back. And next thing you know, there are battleships and cruisers and Titans, and it was just a huge kerfuffle. Nobody knew why it happened, but after it was done, a shit ton of real in-game, real world money, estimated money, was lost.
Sounds about right.
Oh yeah. That's where I lost my entire fleet. I haven't been back since. Granted, I think I only had my highest ship was like a cruiser or heavy cruiser. I can't remember what it was. And that was my last resort to take out my highest ship too into that fight to try to do something. And oh yeah, I downed a bottle and a half of Jack that night.
Game over, man. Game over.
And that's exactly what it was. I uninstalled that game and threw the laptop across the room.
Can't blame you. I don't know. The only experience I have like that with like an MMO, was back. God, what year would this have been? This would have been Wrath of the Lich King, so 2011, 2012, I think. Probably 2012. It was. We were. No, it was not at the beginning of Wrath. We were into Wrath for a while.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure it's 2012. Okay. Mid expansion, and I was on a PvP server. I think it was Proudmoore. I don't know. It was Alliance heavy. I can't remember if Proudmoore was PvP though. But point is,
you were probably on an Emerald Dream then.
Possibly. I'm not sure. I remember the server was a PvP flagged server. This is back, by the way, when you could flag for PvP and you didn't have the bitch shit that they have now, which is you can turn PvP on and then turn it off. William, you play any mini games other than GW? If you count D&D and Cyberpunk Red, then yes. If you mean war games, technically Conflict 47 now, but I haven't actually played it yet. I've only just started collecting an army for it. I'm thinking...
When I get up there, we're going to have to play some Axis and Allies War and see.
Well, I'd have to build an army for that as well.
You don't have to worry about that. I got more than enough fleets.
It's kind of it. So if that doesn't technically, like, if we're actually like talking tabletop war games that I played and collect and actively, because I just started collecting Conflict 47. I don't have an army ready and haven't played a game of it, so can't count that. No, I only got Warhammer 40k and Horus Heresy under my belt. But if you're counting things I've started collecting, Conflict 47, and if you're counting things I'm interested in, technically Bolt Action, and it depends on what you mean by mini games or tabletop games. So it depends, like how much we're stretching it.
Man of War, Battlefleet Gothic, Warhammer 40k, Horus Heresy, BattleTech, shoot, Bolt Action, Flames of War, Team Yankee. Whenever it comes in, Leviathans, but that hasn't come in yet. I played a couple of games. I sold off the stuff now of. Oh God, it was another FASA property. Crimson Skies, Star Wars X-Wing, Star Wars Armada, Axis and Allies War at Sea, from the guys who make Bolt Action, Victory at Sea.
Alex, if we're talking 10th edition, 9th edition, and 8th edition, I agree with you. If we're talking 7th edition, I heavily disagree. Or 6th edition, for that matter.
Considering I still play 2nd edition Iron Warriors. Oh God, they made the Iron Warriors in 2nd edition monsters.
I think every like major, in terms of like fan following, I think every major legion / chapter has had like a heyday in a given edition, or at least part of an edition so far.
I mean, was it Horus Heresy that gave us the Legion artillery pieces? 2nd edition, you could take basilisks and all the Imperial weaponry, like, vanquishers and whatnot, for the Iron Warriors. They all got Space Marine ballistic skill. So, you're talking one less, everything was a -1 on scatter, or a -2 on scatter, stuff like that for artillery.
Alex says, man, I want to roll back to Heresy 1.0. I haven't had a chance to play much of the revamp of Horus Heresy, so I don't know. How bad is it by comparison? I've heard good things from Ball. Ball's been having a blast with it.
Reminds me very much of my preferred heyday from 2nd to right up to 7th. 7th wasn't bad, but that's when they started Primaris BS. Or was that 8th? I think that was 8th.
It was 8th.
So it reminded me very much of the old Warhammer 40k from, again, 2nd to 8th. Let me revamp that. Which, building the lists and point costs and all that whatnot, none of this new automatic units can, take whatever the heck they want BS for the same point costs. I'm like, why wouldn't I arm everybody with a plasma gun then? Because if they can all take it. I'm being hyperbolic with that statement, but. Oh, okay. Aeronautica Imperialis. Played that too.
Since I played Kill Team, I have been interested in skirmish type games, and I heard Infinity is really good. I want to try that.
Good luck finding the models.
I cannot comment. I haven't done much with Infinity or anything really.
Infinity's not bad. It's a decent system. I've only played like 1 or 2 games of it. The aesthetic didn't really grab me, but it's not bad. Another skirmish game that's coming out is there's a miniature skirmish game for Cyberpunk coming out.
Really?
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember. I think it's called. It's either Friday Night Firefights or something else. The only downside with it is it's Monster Labs creating the models, and the models they produce are shit.
So they're the type of models that are like just basic serviceable. I take it.
Yeah, if you want to really paint it up and make it look nice, you're going to have a lot of pitting. That's why I don't for BattleTech. I don't ever buy the quote unquote premium models that they come out with because they're all made by Monster Game Labs, and they fit ill. They're ill fitting. They're warped and they're pitted to shit and damnation.
Damn.
Oh yeah. But I love Cyberpunk. Red Red does a lot of interesting things I like, but I love the original 2020 setting.
I missed the
Um,
2020.
2020 is. I'm actually planning on putting in a huge order at our house Storian because all of their books, all of their 2020 books, are now print on demand, and I'm just going to get everything they offer, including a comedy game I played a long time ago. It's called Teenage Mutants from Outer Space, which is an anime game. And the entire premise is
They are two.
uh,
They are two words there from being a copyright issue.
uh, but the lore of the game basically is 1 second into the future, humanity has contacts with aliens. 2 seconds into the future, there's an intergalactic war. 3 seconds into the future, everybody puts down their arms and signs peace treaties and decides to coexist and live together. 4 seconds into the future, they start busing to high school. And it's very much that weird anime type high school setting, but with like superpowers and all that whatnot. And some of the hard rules are, uh, you have to pick out your days. Like, all right, I have math followed by intergalactic weapon making or stuff like that. It's interesting. And one of the set rules, there are a few set rules, is at the end of each session, if any building is destroyed, make it as funny as possible, but the building comes back. Like if you blow up the school in a science experiment or something like that,
By the way,
you know,
not that I want to like pick on you too much, but if you're watching the stream, you know what I just had a thought about this cape?
what?
It's a pimp cape.
Congratulations, you found me out.
Pimp named Slickback. Step aside. This is a pimp named. God, let me read the full thing. Pimp named Castellan, Evandor, Garrius, Tyrant of Cathernia.
Yeah, it's just one. Oh, and you can never have sex in that game. Something always interrupts as you're about to get that far.
But of course.
Like one of the sessions I heard about from Mr. Walsh is two characters were about to get hot and heavy, and then from the upstairs, Vasquez and Hutz and everything break through the door, firing pulse rifles behind them, and through the living room door comes the APC to get them out. Like it's very much tried to make the most ludicrous and funny thing is. The funnier, the better. And it's one of those comedy games that you can be spontaneous, but it's really hard to be funny all the time.
Yeah, you gotta have serious moments here and there. If you don't, it kind of loses the weight of given moments.
Yeah, especially we don't talk about
Oh,
a
is it?
certain tabletop game that begins with an F.
Begins with it.
We'll talk about it after stream because it's a game nobody should ever play or own.
Okay, now you got me curious.
I'll tell you the name, but I won't go any further than that. It's called Fatal. And it is the most disgusting thing ever put to pen and paper. You know, people make fun of it because of one thing that's in the game, but they don't realize that one thing that's in the game is for something else. Is meant for something else.
Okay.
Oh, I also played Deadlands. Deadlands is a very fun game. Takes place in the Weird West, where a new type of coal has been found called ghost ore, and you can forge it into all these supernatural stuff, and you can build like motorbikes and flying battleships and all that whatnot with this type of ore. But in order to prevent all this from happening, the Indian tribes band together and signed a deal with their spirits, and all of a sudden, the undead come back, and you have things called tumbleweeds and fire tornadoes. It's a real interesting setting. The only downside is if you run modules as written, eventually your players are going to figure out just dynamite the well at the beginning of the game, and you'll just win. That's the one problem with a lot of the modules, is the big bad was always hiding at the bottom of the well.
Kind of lazy.
And it's also one of those games in the 90s that fell prey to the TCG craze.
It's a trading card game?
Mm-hmm. Deadlands had a TCG. Cyberpunk TCG called Netrunner. 40K had a TCG.
It still does.
Physical TCG.
Yeah, that's kind of gone. Unless you count Magic.
I actually have 2 40K decks for Magic.
I tried looking up the rules for Magic and my brain exploded.
Yeah, I just play Commander with my friends. I've been slowly wrapping my head around it.
Like, I was watching a tutorial on how to play Magic. It was like one of the specific types of Magic. But the way it was like described, it was like, this is how people thought Yu-Gi-Oh was played. Like, if you just describe the game to somebody. But it's actually played that way, as opposed to how Yu-Gi-Oh actually is played.
You want to know how to play Yu-Gi-Oh? Ask Karn.
I know. I don't ask him, because I know.
There's another game I want to play with you guys. I want to play the Street Fighter RPG.
Come again?
The Street Fighter RPG.
You tell me there's a TTRPG for Street Fighter?
Yep. And it's one of the funniest.
You're telling me there's a Street Fighter TTRPG where I could bury my head in between Chun-Li's thighs?
I don't know about that, but yes.
With the right DM, it's possible.
But the best thing about that game is it's written super serious, but it's a comedy game. Because in this world, everybody knows a martial art. Everybody knows a martial art.
Yeah,
From like your store clerk or whatever, and everything is decided by combat. Get short change. The clerk gives you the wrong change. Combat. Trying to get that promotion at work. combat. The boss will have you fight it out to see who's the better warrior, and it's just awesome. Like one of the things, there's a mechanic in the game where, oh no, your party got ambushed by 100 ninjas, and they're like the lowest of low ninjas. But as the numbers get thinner and thinner and thinner, the ninjas start getting better and better and better, to the point where the only ninja left is like the boss ninja, and you really need to fight him. And it's a funny game to play.
I bet by the sounds of it.
Uh, you have all the 40K RPGs, which aren't bad. I really like Rogue Trader. I love Deathwatch. Only War is good. I hate Dark Heresy.
Do I ask why?
Dark Heresy is basically second edition Inquisitor. Because Games Workshop back in the day made their own RPG, Inquisitor, before they gave it to Fantasy Flight Games, which I can't imagine why I didn't screw that up and say Final Fantasy Games. And Dark Heresy became the second edition of Inquisitor, and it went too far into the grim dark. Your inquisitorial acolytes, and you can only ever dream of having a full magazine for your stub thrower and las weapons and bolters and all that whatnot are a far off distant memory. You only get the crappiest of crap gear. It was a really hard game to play, but again was inexplicably funny because it had failure states in the game that if you critically failed, something bad was going to happen, and it was always up to the DM to what happened. Like I remember there was we were fighting the bad guy on top of a roof. One of the acolytes goes to throw a melt-a-bomb because somehow we got one. Critically fails his weapon skill. Melt-a-bomb, he goes to throw it, gets shot in the arm, and the melt-a-bomb drops and detonates immediately and throws all of us off the top spire of Havelock.
You're dead.
Oh, yeah. You were expected to die in that game. Like, don't get attached to your characters in Dark Heresy. And after that, you got Rogue Trader. And Rogue Trader, oh, I love Rogue Trader. It's Space Pirate Harlock, the RPG. Where Dark Heresy.
How's everyone? Spooky then asks in the chat asks, how's everyone doing, by the way?
I'm on the right side of dirt.
I'm doing pretty good. Chilling, chatting with friends, painting the meanie. How about you, Spooky? My mate's gonna let me run a wolf scout for his game after we finish our buddies. Finish your buddies?
I do not know what that means.
I think he's gonna clarify. I do not know.
40K RPGs are good. I haven't run the new editions.
I have not had the pleasure to enjoy a 40K TTRPG.
It also depends on what you and your friends want to do, because it's Rogue Trader is hard but fun. Dark Heresy is hard but can be fun if the DM lightens up everything. Your players are going to get bored with a Death Watch campaign real quick. Because that's power fantasy of the game. That's good for, like a limited run of games. You can't run a long campaign as Death Watch because it's you are the apex predator in that game. Nothing can touch you. Like, we're not talking about tabletop power armor. We're talking about lore power armor. You can't be touched by anything outside of another.
So just pull out a lot of CSM.
Well, that's why. What is it? That's where we get the Chaos Terminator Lord Caber Toss. Yeah. That was a story I read long ago. That rules is written. This Marine with his strength got behind a Chaos Terminator Lord, picked them up in a caber toss, tossed them, and then the fall damage finished him off. Oh yeah.
That's a wee moment.
Oh yeah.
Wee clap.
Although the Chaos variant of Deathwatch is really cool. I think that's called Black Crusade. Yeah, it's Black Crusade. And I really like that because not only do you get to play Chaos, but you can also play Chaos Acolytes or Chaos Guards. They had rules for Plague Marines. They actually had a rule for Plague Marines where if a Plague Marine was in your party, every so often you'd have to do a save to not get overpowered by the stench. And you had the rules for my favorite class to play was always the Warpsmith. Warpsmith Foggles. Doesn't matter what he does. Every time he walked into a room, good news, everyone.
Only half of us will die today.
Yes, I think one of his inventions was a sentient demon engine mechanical pencil. Because a demon pissed him off. The demon pissed him off, so he made a mechanical pencil.
That'd address the issue, technically.
And again, with tabletop games, there's so many shenanigans you can do. Like, lighting a BBEG on fire with an incendiary round after he got soaked in vodka. Or nuking the entire party.
That'd do it.
But yeah, Cyberpunk 2020 is a real They have so many modules you can run that are just interesting. The rules for power and armor in that game were scary.
Mosquito.
I think the creator of Cyberpunk watched Storm, what is it, Starship Troopers OVA and said, "I want that in my game." There are so many good games out there. You know, you don't need to grovel at the foot of GW if you don't want to.
Correct.
The only thing you got to worry about was like Flames of War, or Team Yankee, or Bolt Action is constantly be called a Nazi because you play the Germans. I prefer Flames of War over Bolt Action just because you get more bang for your buck with Flames of War.
Yeah, I can't comment on that one. I haven't played it.
Flames of War definitely is the 40K World War II game because I think they're all like 1/48 scale miniatures along with the vehicle. You know, you can buy 1/48 scale Tamiya tanks and stuff like that and field them, and they'll be in scale with everybody else. But Flames of War is a lot more miniaturized, uh, where you buy a tank for bolt action, you get one vehicle with some accessories. You buy a platoon of tanks for Flames. That's actually why I like Team Yankee. Team Yankee was a book about the Cold War gone hot, and it follows around an Abrams crew during the beginning of that war. But they made it into a tabletop game that is the Cold War gone hot. And as they've expanded it, or expanded the game, they've introduced more prototypes into the game. Like if you play my faction, I play the Bundeswehr. You started out with Leopard 2A4s, but now with the new codex that they released, you can field Leopard 2A5s. The U.S., all of their Abramses are 105 armed Abrami. But now with the expansion in U.S. forces, you get the 120s, you get the heavy armor and the heavy combat variants and all that whatnot. The M1, A2, HA, and HCs. And of course, you get the Warsaw Pact forces, Russia, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Bulgaria, East Germany.
What time is it?
About 2 a.m.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna hit the hay then soon.
All right, brother. Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
Don't intend to. I'm gonna call it here, folks. Thank you all for hanging out and having a good stream. I appreciate it. Make sure to leave a like before you guys all head out. I'm gonna go to bed. I will not see anybody in the YouTube front tomorrow. That's because tomorrow is a recharge day, R&R for the most part. Gonna be hanging out with the buds in the Discord, and also probably gonna go to the pub for my evening and try and unwind, and then Sunday back to work. So, well, not back to my day job work, but back to YouTube work and that kind of stuff. So I will catch you guys in a couple days. Bye bye.